What's up, guys? Yesterday I was a guest in Amy Wee's live on Facebook where we had a great conversation about listing optimization. We went through the process that each of us is going through when we create a new listing, the title, the bullets, the research, and the entire process. We also talked and went over the listing photos, how and where and what to put on each photo, and we also covered the A plus content and the importance of it. So make sure that you watch the entire video and take some points that you can implement in your business, or at least try them out, and if they're working you can implement them in your business. Now, before we are getting into the video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you click the bell and leave a comment, I subscribed, so for every new video that I release you can get notified, and I will also personally reply to your comments. And let's start with the video.
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm hanging out with my friend Tomer. He is awesome, and we are gonna just share with you guys both of our listing optimization like hacks and techniques. I talked with Tomer the other day and we were just hanging out, and I learned that he's as much of a nerd about these things as I am. So we were like, hey, let's just hang out and share and go back and forth on our favorite listing optimization techniques. And so, yeah, so anyway, you guys know who I am, but maybe you don't know who Tamara is. So Tamara, take a minute and tell everybody about you.
Yeah, sure. So I am an Amazon FBA seller. I have two brands, seven-figure brands. I started this like 2 years ago. Before that, I had a background in e-commerce too. So PPC and e-commerce in general was kind of natural to me. I really enjoy listing optimization, conversion rate optimization tips and hacks. This is something that I feel that it doesn't really require a lot of resources to change the bottom line, basically. You could get like photos and change everything, but sometimes just changing the copy could get your listing ranked or get higher conversion rates. So last time, yeah, we talked about writing your own listings. I at the beginning, just like my first listing, I wrote it myself, and I had really good results. And I know that many new sellers, when they start, they outsource this. I know that you offer services too for listing optimization, but I myself like to write it myself because I feel that the process of writing a good listing really starts with caring and giving enough attention to the audience and all these tips. And when you outsource it to someone, they don't really have enough time or giving it enough attention as you would put in your own listing, in your own product. And even if you have to outsource, we talked about this the other day, even if you outsource this, you have to check the work of the copywriter, and that takes time because you need to basically reverse like the whole process that they did, and it takes a lot of time. So I write my listings, I get really good conversion. I asked you before the call, what is your best conversion rate you ever had? But I think that people like don't really check this regularly, but you have to really
Yeah.
be on top of your numbers. Know what is your conversion rate for your listing, like immediately. Like if I ask you, you can say, oh, between 20 or 30, because if you're not on top of this, then you can miss an opportunity that something happened, like with time or things like let's say a new listing that you just launched, and you see that the conversion rate is very low, that you have some job to do with the copywriting or the listing itself. Sometimes, of course, it's not just the copy, it's also the actual traffic that you get. It's not just the copy, and of course the images. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing the entire like selling on Amazon. I think that the flexibility and the freedom, and also as far as numbers, you could scale this to really unimaginable like numbers that in traditional business or normal e-commerce stores, it will be very hard and take a lot of time. I have experience for that. We had a mid seven figures business with our own website, and it was hard. We spend millions of dollars every year just for marketing. I'm not saying that you won't spend it on Amazon, but it's much easier because you have all these audience, the platform, and all the tools. So
Yeah.
it just
I would
yeah.
agree, like in terms of course, I write listings for people, but I take it very seriously because I think no one can, well, I don't just think, I know no one can sell your product better than you. And selling is all about connecting with the customer and knowing what the customer wants. And so the foundation of listing optimization is actually knowing your customer. And so, I have a listing optimization masterclass, and the first class is all about finding your main keyword. And your main keyword is so, so, so important because that you can't write a listing the way that search engine optimization works. You can't write a listing to rank for everything.
Yes.
You have to be the most relevant for the keyword that you want to be on page one for, right? So if you want to be on page one organically for a specific keyword, you need to be the most relevant. So if you take this product and then you're like, okay, well, it's a water bottle for bikers or for cyclists, right? But I also want it to be a teacup. I also want it to be a coffee mug. You're never going to rank for all of that, not
Understood the point.
organically. And
Yeah.
you're not going to connect with the customer because the coffee drinker is a different customer than the guy who's buying a water bottle for his bicycle, right? So it's so important. Like the foundation of listing optimization is understanding where you want to be on the page and what page that is, and then also understanding your buyer. So my first step whenever I'm writing a new listing is I think about it from the customer's perspective. I go, okay, what does the customer call this thing? And even if I'm writing a listing for a customer, I do the same thing. I have my clients fill out forms and I say, what's different about your product? Why should I buy it instead of another product? What's cool about it? Who is your customer? What's included with it? I get all those details so that I can do a good job of really researching the customer. But step one is knowing, what does the customer call it? And where do you want to be on page one? And you don't want to pick a short tail keyword. You don't want to pick water bottle. You want to pick green water bottle for cyclists. Like you want a very specific medium to long tail keyword with that short tail keyword inside of it so that you can
Okay.
rank for both at the same time. What about you,
Okay.
Tamir? How do you start your listing optimization process when you're writing a listing? How do you do that?
I do it a little different. I actually had a question, and then you mentioned that you're going to include the like a two keywords search term within the big long tail keyword, so you can rank for both. But yes, actually, how you treat it, like at the beginning when you launch, obviously you won't go for the biggest keyword out there until you get enough sales ranking and your BSR is good enough. But then down the road, do you change it? Do you go after bigger like keywords and you target bigger keywords? Yeah, like that's my question, because I normally don't really change it, but curious
Yeah,
to
for
hear
me, it
from you.
depends. So I tell everyone this because if you make significant changes to your listing, you'll force a full reindex of the search engine and you'll lose all the ranking that you had for and indexing that you had for all those other keywords. Now, if you add in, and I've tested this extensively, if you add in keywords to your listing, so let's say maybe you started out with 200 characters in your bullet points, right? And they're pretty short, they're pretty good. And I always aim for 2 to 3 phrases in each bullet point and then in the description and in the title, right? So stick to those 200 to 300 characters so that, let's say that a new keyword kind of comes out in your PPC and your PPC is not performing so well, like you're not getting premium placement for that keyword because your listing isn't super relevant for it, right? Because
Yeah.
PPC goes off relevancy first, then match type, then your bid. So, a lot of people think, well, if I just bid the most, well, then I'm going to be able to be at the top of the page for that keyword. But that's not true. You really need to be the most relevant for that keyword if you're wanting top of page placement, as well as, your bid and match type, right? If you're doing like exact match and you're bidding high. So In terms of changing it, it always depends on the performance of the listing. If a listing is performing really well and a client comes to me and goes, I want you to change everything up, I say, whoa, wait a minute. You're doing really, really well. Do you really want to force a reindex and lose all the work you did on PPC? Because not only will you index for the stuff in your listing, you're also over time going to index for whatever bids you won on PPC, what organic search from off of Amazon that comes on Amazon, those search, find, buy terms that come in, and kind of, that's why Amazon moves you around in categories sometimes, because customers will find you differently. And I have clients all the time, they're like, what the heck? I created my listing in this category and now I'm in this category and Amazon won't change it. Well, the reason is because they categorize you based on how customers are finding you in search. So yeah, to answer your question, that was a really long-winded answer, I know, but I don't change it unless if it's not doing well and we got nothing to lose, then heck yeah, let's rewrite that sucker all day long. Or if it becomes a really saturated category, like I have a client right now, her listing just became really, really saturated. She was first to market with a popular product, and now it's like tons of Chinese sellers, like really low prices. And so her main keyword, it's not as attractive anymore. And we were on a call the other day and I was like, okay, what else could we call it? And we went and we searched around and we found so many other cool keywords that none of the competitors were on, because everybody else focuses on that one keyword, like, oh, it's a diaper bag. Well, what if it isn't a diaper bag? What if you call it something else and now you get to sell out in that category because you're really, kind of rebranding your listing. So that's my answer. If I want to include, if a listing is doing really well and I want to include those additional keywords, I'll add it in the back end of the listing, or just like add it into the description, or add it into a bullet point where I have space where it's not going to force a reindex.
Yeah. I also like with good converting listing, I'm like, I'm always, striving to be better and improve the listings and improve my business. But sometimes when something works well and you try to really like optimize it, like you could over optimize it and actually like get worse results. So yeah, when you have like above 30, 35, percent conversion rate, um, I won't really touch the listing.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, sorry, my cat was just in here. She
Yeah, I
was
was
like
seeing you like laughing.
meowing and like trying to get out, so my assistant just let her out. But anyway, I didn't want everyone to like hear this cat like meow. But yeah, I'm with you there. So
Yeah, so
back to
how I start,
yeah.
the process of creating listings, I do it a little different. So I first, search for the main keyword, like for that product, and then just go with analyzing the competitors through Bed Analytics or Cerebro, see what keywords they are ranked for organically, how they get their sales organically, and obviously trying to find the main keyword that I think is the most relevant and that have like good enough volume, and start from there. Like there when I have the keyword and I have the competitor's product, I start to analyze reviews. That's the first thing that I am doing, really downloading through the Helium 10 tool all the reviews to Excel. uh, First I check the 3 to 4 stars reviews, then I check the 1, 2 stars, and of course the 5 stars, and I start to incorporate the same customer language in my bullets. I don't really look at it. I'm not really stuffing keywords into my listings, like the bullets, I'm sorry. I just try to use the customer language. It works for me really well. And I have like between 30 to 50% conversion rate, which is like, in my opinion, it's good results.
I like that. Yeah, that's really good. So, something about that you said about that. So, the reason that I do it the opposite way, that I go on Amazon and I search for the product first, is because I also use keyword tools and I also reverse search my competitors. But what happens is a competitor might be ranked for a keyword that is not in Amazon's suggested search box. And I've been able to get on page one for those top suggested searches simply by being the most relevant for them. And so I use this tool by Seller SEO called Listing Lightning. And what I do is I find out whatever that top keyword is. So first I go in and I'm like, okay, what page on Amazon based on search results? Because that's how customers search, right? They start typing something in and they look at the suggestions and then they pick whatever it is. They're not going to finish typing it. Very rarely do you see, except for, you got the hunter peckers on the desktop that don't look up and see that there's suggestions there, right? But I know Tamara and I both have a background in playing on the keyboard with cybersecurity. So he's laughing at my talk about making fun of people on the keyboard. But anyway, most of the time people use those suggested searches. And so what happens is if you're only using, and I've rewritten hundreds of listings that have been written with these tools that are not ranking organically. And that's what I'm finding is the main problem, is they've only looked at keywords from keyword tools and they don't look at Amazon's keywords to start with and then plug those keywords into the tools and rank order those. Because I want your listing to be on page 1 for one of Amazon's suggested searches that is most relevant to you. So that's why I always start by searching for it as if I'm the customer trying to find it. Then I take those keywords and I put them into the tools, right? Then I'll reverse search competitors and see what they're doing, right? Like, okay, what are they ranking for? Ooh, that fits in with my plan over here, right? And so that's the only reason I do that, is because that critical mistake could be made. I've been able to take people's listings, and even when they're ranked very low, or they'll be like in 3rd or 4th place organically on the page, just because we've written their listing to be the most relevant for that keyword. And I think that that's a huge missed opportunity that a lot of people aren't doing, which I'm not mad at them about, because that just means that I can beat them in organic search.
Yeah, like I said, when something works for you, you don't really change it. But I like always to test new things, because I'm coming from a point that I don't really know enough, and people out there, everyone could teach me, and I always try to test things. Like today, I started an experiment. I said I'm not gonna talk about it, but you know what? I'm gonna share it with you. It's experiments on ranking your listings on organically with on Google, not with the paid ads. And why it's so important. When you send traffic to Amazon through paid ads, they don't really show the referral. They don't show that the traffic source is Google. If you will analyze the click, there are ways you could use developer tools and some other tools to see like the full referral. And they don't really share the referral. The same with Facebook. If you run ads through Facebook directly to your listings, they will not show the referral. And why it's so important, the referral? Because we want Amazon to know and understand that this traffic came from Google specifically. Why? Because there are a couple of guys that did a research that find that when you get this traffic directly from Google Organic, it really change your organic rankings on Amazon. So what I'm doing is experiments of like creating a link building profile for one of my listing. It's like $2,000 for the first month. It's not cheap, but if it's gonna work, it's gonna really be a game changer in the entire Amazon industry, I think, because people will pay more and more attention to organic rankings that you have, and that could be really the unfair advantage that you have over your competitors. And you will look at it like big sellers or people that know what they're doing, they will just use it as a leverage, big leverage. Obviously, it's a long term. It's not something that you like PPC, you do it like right away and you see the results. It will take 3-4 months to even see the results of this experience. So we start today, but only in 3 months I will know whether it's working or not. And if it is, then I will allocate enough big budgets toward this, but only to products that are working well, products that are already making a lot of money, and you just want to make sure that you stick. You're going to be like dominating the niche, and you're going to be the leader. So you can invest in this and obviously add more products and create more organic presence. So that's something that
I love that technique. I use Google like crazy because Andy taught me all about Google Ads and how to really rank well that way. And
That's not
60%.
the Google ads. That's organically, that's different.
No, I agree. But 60% of Amazon's external traffic comes from search.
Yes.
So that's why it's important. So same thing when we do our keyword research, when I teach people how to do your keyword research for your listing, we don't just look on Amazon. We also write our listings to rank
Keyword.
organically on Google. And it's so important. Like even your title and setting your canonical URL is so important because that's how search engines find you. And you're missing out on all these hundreds of thousands of searches. And what do searches represent? They represent the opportunity for your listing not only to rank because external traffic, organic external traffic driving to your listing, but also for you to be found. You know, so many people go on Google and search for a product, right? And if your listing can be not only relevant for Amazon, but also relevant in Google searches, and you understand that customer, it's so powerful. So I love that. Like 100%, I always write my listings not only to rank on Amazon, but also to rank organically on Google. And then of course I use the power of Google ads on top of that and we just use search ads, right? But I use that power to kind of boost that even further and get those additional keyword rankings over time. So I'm excited to hear how that goes. I also love what you said about, so let's get into bullet points. You talked about how when you write your bullet points, this is step 2 of mine. Well, actually step 2 of my is really identifying, my listing writing process is really identifying what your unique selling proposition is. So step 1 for me is find your main keyword. What do people call this thing? And step 2 is always, what is your selling point? Like, what are you, even if you're selling the same thing as everybody else's, how are you going to connect with that customer on a deeper level? So I love that you're looking at reviews because you're not just looking at a few reviews, you're reading through a lot of reviews because you're seeing what people care about. Like you're seeing what they're complaining about, what they care about. You're understanding their language, which I think is so cool. But my second step is always defining my unique selling point because I want to make sure that the customer, from the point they read my first bullet point and they look through my photos, which again, the photos are also designed to really call out that unique selling point. I want that customer to already have decided that they're buying that product by the time they get to the end of the photos. So that to me is the second thing that you have to do, because if you don't think through that, if you don't know your unique selling point before you move through the rest of your process, you get stuck just trying to talk about features all day long, right? And customers don't care about features. They want to know why do I care about this product and why should I buy it? So that's my second step. And then I get into bullet points. And this is the key for my bullet points. I love that you, Tamara, go in and you read the reviews. I think that's a super tip for people. It's awesome. I love that. What I do is I don't think about SEO when it comes to my bullet points. I just write them. I use a template. I have a template for writing them that's very like sales funnel like. And my first bullet point is always why you need this product in your life. Like this is your
template with us.
Yeah, sure. Why not? You know, I've talked about this at a ton of different, conferences, everything like that. But it's really easy. You guys can do it yourself. If you use Google Docs, what's cool about Google Documents is you click on the tools menu and you click on voice typing, and you can just answer these 5 questions. And these 5 questions are the questions that I answer that become my bullet points. Okay. I don't add in SEO, the other keywords, until after I draft the listing, because I want to know, what does the customer care about, right? So that way I'm not just keyword stuffing. If you just have this big list of keywords and you're trying to fit all these keywords into your listing, it's not going to come out very well. It's not going to.
My title.
What?
My titles are like just a bunch of keywords together. And I know everyone against this, but this works. At the beginning, I just like wrote it naturally, like someone is reading it. But I feel that people don't really read it. They look at the title and then the first 3 or 4 words. That's it. So I use it as a way to just stuff keywords there. Bullets are different. And images, I have something that I want to share about what you said before. I'll say it later. Go ahead.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about titles. I also do that with my title. I have a certain format that I use to make sure that my canonical URL gets set. I only use one dash in my title because that's what sets your canonical URL. And I want those first 6 keywords to be what is set in the canonical URL. So the first 6 keywords of my title is really, really important to me. And it is the page 1 that I want to be on. So if the page 1 I want to be on is water bottles for cyclists. Like water bottles is always my example because there's always one on my desk. But if that's then that's going to be my first 6 keywords, period. And then after that, I try and I use my tool because Seller SEO's Listing Lightning gives me the exact order that I should use my phrases in for me to rank the highest organically for that main keyword. So then I look at what the rank order of those phrases is, and I like try to apply it like, okay, which one is, first of all, it has to be relevant, right? Like, because sometimes the tool will spit out stuff that isn't relevant. So I use that for backend keywords, but isn't relevant to my listing, but is still relevant to the main search term. So I look at those and I kind of do what you do. Like I rank order them, and it's kind of a messy title, but it works. And then, cause that's your highest ranking factor. And then I do my 5 bullet, I just draft my 5 bullet points. The other thing I do is once I know that I want to be on page 1 for whatever keyword, I'll pull a couple of the titles that are doing really well on that page. I'll pull a couple of their titles and just put them in my document. And just like look at like, hey, okay, yeah, that's good. I'm going to pull that out. And oh, that's good. And I just kind of pull out like parts and pieces. And then I look at my tool and make sure that I have all my ranking keywords. And then I get into like, once I know that my title is like fire and it's awesome, then I go through in my mindset and I go, okay, now let me just get into like the customer's brain and let me just write like 5 awesome bullet points. And I revisit anytime in those bullet points, I say this thing, this water bottle is amazing. Whatever I'm saying, like whenever I say water bottle, then when I go back through those 5 bullet points and I add in those 2 to 3 keyword phrases, every time I say the word, I just replace it with one of the phrases. And that makes it very easy. And your listing stays super readable without seeming like it's like super keyword stuffed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And I'm not I don't really offer any services or listing optimizations or anything like that, so I don't really have a process. But one thing I'm gonna take from this conversation is to build my template, work with a checklist. I kind of have a process, but it's not really written, and sometimes I miss things. When you say something about the bullets, I figure out that at first when I started to sell on Amazon, I did put a lot of emphasis on the USP. And now I don't really do it that much. Sometimes you just do something and you forget about it because you don't have a system and process. So one thing I'm gonna for sure do is like make my process, more optimized, like with checklist of things that I need to do, so I won't forget it, because you reminded me that I have to really put more attention toward the USP in the first bullets. Now, as far as research, you mentioned that you go and check the other titles, and for that I do have a process. So usually when I have a new listing, a new product that we launch, I give it to one of my VAs, and what she's doing, I give her the keyword, and she grab all the images of the first page, including all their images. So each listing 7 images. So I have a bunch of like 100 or 300, I don't know, like many pictures of page 1 from all the competitors. This is helping me with producing the pictures, because I feel these days the bullets are important, but many people don't really read them. They don't get to the point that they read them. Amazon buyers are very impulsive. They come, they search, they buy. They don't really think. If the pictures align with what they're looking for, they will buy it. They don't.
So you're gonna love it, because I have a strategy for pictures too, but it's very different. So I love that you're pulling all the main photos. I do that for main photos, like because I want to like look at what they're doing. But I use my 5 bullet points, because you're right, nobody reads the listing. I always tell people that nobody reads the listing. The only time they're going to scan your listing is after they've looked through
For
your
sure.
photos and they've
Yeah.
decided that they want to buy your product. And they go, oh, maybe I have like one extra question, or maybe I just want to look a little bit more before I add to cart. But if they get through your photos and they have not already decided to buy your product, they are not going to even,
Not look at it. I agree.
they're moving on. So I do. So just so I want to stop and just say hello to people that are watching. Christina's here, Marina's here, Shelly's here. Anna says, this is great. Shelly says, Amy, what are the tools you just mentioned to capture Amazon suggested keyword? So Shelly, you're going to love this. The search bar. You go on Google, you check out the search bar, you go on Amazon, you check out, you start typing it in the search bar. And I always take screen captures of the search bar. And Shelly, you're in my mastermind group. So we're doing that this month, and I'm showing you all of my techniques and giving you guys checklists and templates. So get in there, girl. All right. And then we've got Marina, who says, I also look at the question people ask for the listings. Yes. Did you guys know that those questions index? So you can have people go and ask questions on your listings, and now you can even do video responses.
Yeah, yeah, I do that as well. So I answer with stuffing keywords in there because it get indexed, whether it's Google indexing or Amazon indexing, it's gonna help.
Yeah, and then Prechi says this subject mainly applies to private label. Yes, because if you don't own the listing, it's very hard to edit it. So yeah, we are talking about when you own your own listing and you're doing that. So what I do, Tamara, for the photos is I have my template for listing optimization, right? So let's go over my 5 questions so that you can pull those from me, and maybe you'll have suggestions of things that you add in that I'm missing, which I'm always open to adding to this template. First is always why you need this product in your life, and that's always photo number 2. So after your main photo, it's your unique selling point photo. It should be represented there, right? So that's bullet point number 1, photo number 2. Bullet point number 2 is what's included, because what goes through the customer's mind is, okay, what's great about it? And then number 2 is, what do I get? What comes in the box, right? So bullet point number 2 is always what's included. And we talk about like, hey, this is what you're getting and this is why it's awesome, right? And there's always a photo representing that. So that's like your dimensions photo, your, all that kind of stuff. Maybe your infographics, your zoom ins. Bullet point number 3, and this is what most people put at bullet point number 5, and I think it's a mistake. Bullet point number 3 is removing the risk. In all of your sales, if you ever take sales training and understanding the sales cycle, it's always the 3rd step in the sales process after you introduce, the product and you tell them all about it. You want to address their objections. You want to be like, if you don't love it, we completely stand behind it and you can cancel, right? Cancel anytime. It's fine, right? Like you look at all of your sales presentations, it's that way for a reason, you guys. So bullet point number 3 is always what's included, what your risk-free guarantee. So which you have to be careful about the word guarantee on Amazon now, because they're super weird about words lately. But you do want to tell them like, hey, we're standing behind the quality of this product. And oh, by the way, you're going to love it. And oh, by the way, we care about our customers and we are going to absolutely, take care of you should you have any problems at all. Remove the risk. Never put 30-day. If you put 30 days, customers' mindset immediately goes to, 31 days, this thing's going to fail, right? So have a photo to represent that too. Have a photo to represent how you care about customer service, how it's really high quality, right? Like have a quality photo, because that's going to be amazing. And then bullet point number 4, and the next photo in the line is multiple uses. So this is where you're showing all the ways that it can be used. So maybe if it's just a kitchen container, maybe it also works to hold the coffee, or it also works, in these different situations. Use it for your bathroom cotton balls. I don't know, but you get the idea, right? Multiple uses for it. And then if you're showing, what I love is a photo with like a quad photo that shows like, kitchen, bathroom, and people see that and they're like, oh, I didn't even think of, yes, I need that in my bathroom. That's amazing, right? And then bullet point number 5 and photo number 6 is always, well, there's 3 different things you could do here, because not every product is giftable. So I like to show the product as a gift or as seasonal. But I also like to write for gifting. So you get one chance in your listing to rank for those gifting keywords. And here you are at Christmas time trying to, what is it? Is it the best Christmas gifts for mom from daughter? What is your product? You need to think about that from a gifting perspective. And all the copywriters I've ever seen that I've corrected listings on, they don't know SEO for gifting. So what they do is they go, okay, this is the perfect gift for birthday, New Year's, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas. That's never going to rank for anything, nor is it going to do good on your PPC. So I always do the gifting research and I write the bullet to that gifting research so that when I'm running the PPC on that, and then I also have a photo that represents that. And then my last photo, since I don't have a bullet point for it, the last photo is always, we always have some lifestyle images, just show it in their life, really show them, the size of it, how it would be used, help them imagine it in their life. But that's my 5 bullet points. And also how I design my photos, and it makes it very easy. And the folks that I have taken my listing optimization class and have only changed their photos have gotten their conversion rates went from one guy went from 5 to 30% overnight. He was like, it just changed everything because now I'm speaking to them. And as they're going through the photos, it's the sales process in photos. So they're like, oh, that's what's included. Oh, they really care. They're going to take care of me and it's really high quality. Awesome. Oh, I didn't realize I could use it in my camper. That's great. Oh yeah, this would make a really good gift for my mom. Right? So if it's not giftable, you could always show your authority in the space or do your brand story, right? So you could do something educational, right? Like lipstick. You might not show lipstick as a gift, but if you're selling lipstick, show them a cool lipstick technique. They're going to trust you more because they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I saw something like that trending on YouTube. Yeah, I'm going to buy this one. Right? So utilize that 5th bullet point as either giftable, authority, or something along that line. So that's my template, and it takes care of bullet points and photos.
Yeah, it must be together. I agree. I actually don't. I think I see it all the time that people don't use enough text on their photos, and with text, if it's used correctly, that's like bullets in photos. So you put your copywriting techniques using text on photos overlays. People don't the good sellers, they know how to use this technique. And I see it all the time that many listings don't use text. And for me, using the text, I push the important keywords, and I also explain them why they need my product and the benefits. I try not to really put any features on the text, especially not the second and third. Maybe I will put features text on the 4th or 5th image, because these are the most important pictures, number 2 and 3. So I try to put the benefits, try to understand why and what kind of problem this product is going to solve, why they are buying it, and then just touching this point, and then you got it. They will become the impulsive buyers.
I love that. I completely agree. I always tell people, hey, tell them in your photos, show. But the cool thing about text, because if you put too much text in a photo, people won't read it and they'll just be like, what am I looking at? Right. But if you combine that text with a little icon that represents the text. So for example, if it's magnetic, put the magnet icon and be like magnetic. So you can do this, right? Or if it's heated, show the little heated icon. It's just the way our brains work. If you put the little icon, then naturally they're like, oh, what's that? And then they want to understand it. And so if you're going to use text, either use zoom ins on each part of the product with a little circle and then put the text underneath it, or use an icon where they're like, oh, okay, wait, what does that mean? Oh, I see a washing machine. Oh, cool. It's washable.
Yeah.
That is so, I love that. We're so in sync on this stuff. So
yeah, I think people sometimes through their photos, they will use, like you said, some elements, they sell magnets. They will put some, 2 or 3 points under in some white space area that they have in this image. But then the second image, they will have points without this magnet, or they don't use logos with all their photos. And these little things create the trust. It doesn't really create any, like, it's more to create trust, and they coming to your listing and saying, oh, this is like a big brand, they know what they're doing, or you know, I trust them because it's unconsciously, of course, but they see all these logos with your photos, they see that you use the same patterns and the same way throughout all your photos. It creates the feeling and trust of they're dealing with brand rather than just random guy or Chinese seller.
Yes, in our group, we focus on, in our mastermind group, we focus on designing your packaging for retail. Because if you can show retail packaging in your photos, people are going to automatically associate that with a trusted brand. And so we always talk about, and this is the problem that all these new sellers are running into now. They're having to list their products and they'll get gated. Like I'm working with a lady right now. She just got gated after she listed. Her listing went live and we needed to improve her listing because it was not showing up in search. She had all the wrong keywords in there. Well, she went to edit her listing and she was gated. And she had to submit pictures of her product in the packaging. And the packaging requirements are that you have to have the brand name, the manufacturer name, the UPC, not the FN SKU, the
You
UPC.
think?
Yes, yes, for ungating, yeah, because FNSKU is Amazon's version of a label, but they need your UPC on it, right? And then having your contact email and your location, manufacturer's location and contact email.
Yes, yes, they asked me for that too on the packaging. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did in order to trick them, don't try it, but what I did is had my manufacturer produce like one box with my address there, because on the mass production I didn't put the address. So I had him
Mm-hmm.
like paid him like $30 and he would print like something in a day or two with the address, and then I would send them and they approved me.
And that's why I teach people from the get-go. In our mastermind group, that's what we do. In my course, I teach you from the get-go, like this is what your packaging needs to look like. And these are the components that you need to include, because then you're not limited to Amazon either, right? Amazon's going to improve you like this. You're going to create trust with the customers. A lot of people spend a lot of money on gift boxes because, you know, that's a thing. I don't know, somebody's teaching that, but a lot of people spend a lot of money on gift boxes instead of making really legit retail looking packaging and retail ready packaging. And you're creating more trust with the buyer if you have more of retail ready packaging and you're like just maximizing your brand. So I love, you know, I love that idea, Tomer, of including your branding. I love like including the logos in the photos and just really like, hey, this is not just a generic thing. And that's the way that we can compete, right? Because we might not be able to compete with a factory that's directly listing their products and doesn't have experience selling direct to consumers. So they're making their prices way too low for margin. We might not be able to compete with their prices, but we can compete in brand and in trust. And I think that that is such an important part. So let's, before we get, I mean, we've been going for 48
Wow.
minutes. What about description? So I, of course, use A+ content. I think you have to. It's so important to show your brand is legit. The biggest mistake I see in A+ content is people will do such a good job in A+ content. They make their brand look so good. They call out their unique selling proposition, all that stuff. And in their main photos, in their 7 photos or 8 photos, they're crap. But the customer looks through those 7 photos first, and then they scroll down. If they decide, then they'll scroll down and look at your EBC. So I always see problems with that. Whenever I'm doing listing reviews, I see problems with that. So speaking of listing reviews, if you guys want me to review your listing and tell you exactly what I would do to fix it, just go to amazingathome.com/listing-review, or just find it from the services menu. But anyway, I do tons of listing reviews for free and just tell you guys like, hey, this is what I would fix. But description. So if you don't have A+ content, I do a call to action, because remember, description shows up first on mobile. So I do a call to action. You make sure you're HTML formatting it. You guys, come on. Seller App has a free HTML formatter. There's AmazonProductDescription.com or something like that. Like Google it, right?
Even just a normal, just like write what you see, what you get editor on, and you get like view source code, you copy that, you put it in the description.
Oh, I haven't tried. Oh, see, you're so smart. I love that. So definitely HTML format it, like, because it needs to look pretty. And then it needs to be more than a blob of text, even if you're a brand new seller and you don't have A+ content yet. If you're in my listing optimization masterclass this month or in the mastermind group this month, I teach you guys how to do your own A+ content. It's so easy to do. Like, it's not that hard. It's literally just some pictures with pixels. So you can do that very easily. But Tamara, tell us what you do for A+ content or for your description. What's your strategy?
It's a topic that I tested a lot this year, actually. I wanted to see, like, because as a buyer, to be honest, maybe I'm different, but when I come and search for something on Amazon, and like all of us, I buy on Amazon every day, I think. And when I search for something, I just look through the photos. Maybe I will, like you said, maybe I still have doubts or questions, I will read the bullets. But normally through the picture, I just buy it. And I never really look at the A+ content. I don't really scroll down, to be honest. Maybe it's because me and most of the buyers buy like a relatively cheap items, like up to $30. So you don't really care because you know already that in case you have problem, you can return it. So there is no really risk here. So I don't really check the A+ content, but I wanted to verify what I think and test it out based on data, based on numbers. So I put a listing without A+ content and with A+ content. I want to see how it's impacting the conversion rate. And I also tried a couple of versions. I did the main image, followed the good guidelines, like putting in the main, like a hero picture, showing your item, then putting some text. Really following, I did a research on the best, not the best, but like good looking A+ content, just kind of mimic what they did. And to be honest, it didn't change a lot. It didn't change. Sometimes I got lower conversion rates. So I kind of put it on hold for now. For good converting listings, I will edit. I mean, for listings that they're already selling, I think that it could hurt a lot, but I didn't see a big difference in conversions. Like, it's lifting the conversions in my the experience that I did, and I tested this on a couple of listings. So for me now, I don't really focus on A+ content that much, to be honest.
So when you're doing a new listing, do you build the A+ content, or you just do a text description?
Start text, yeah. I
Just
think
get it
that,
out there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because Amazon, you could do many things in your business too. My resources are limited. I have to focus on what is. I told you before this call, we discussed a little bit about a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he really explained there that you have to identify what is this one thing that you could do that will make your life easier or eliminate all the other tasks together. And for me, when I start my day, I have like my list of tasks, and I try really to move aside everything that really won't really change the bottom line. And based on the experiments that I did, it doesn't really make a big difference. So yeah, maybe I will do it, but I leave it for a later stage. First, I focus on getting good title. Images, of course, is the most important thing, and then bullets. I upload the listing, and then the PPC is the next priority, setting up the campaigns, and just setting up. I also have a checklist for launch, like what are the steps that I need to do. But yes, for a description, I have a question for you, because when you have A+ content, you also have your own keywords in the product description, but they don't really show, but they are in the backend. So maybe you can use it as a strategy, just stuff keywords in product description and have A+ content.
Yeah.
And I didn't really try it or like get deep in it.
So to piggyback off what you've said, and we had a couple of questions. Mookie says, how about having a video in the listing? Yes, Mookie, and video ads all day long. They're my best, highest converting video ads. And
They meant like the 7th picture, the video.
yeah, yep. Yeah, so doing videos, I love it. If you can do it, absolutely. Christina says 30 days, that's smart. Anna says Jeopardy question. I play Jeopardy with my group, and it's fun. They're super smart. Okay, so what you did with split testing, I completely agree. Because the good news about me being a seller and a consultant is, and a copywriter, is that I get to see the results of my work. I'm not just writing people's listings and then like never seeing that listing again. Like I'm working with these people and seeing the results of my work, and like, and then we're setting up their PPC and their external traffic. Like we're seeing like the whole ball game kind of get put together and the results of it. And that's really cool. So I do get to do a lot more split testing than just with my own brands. And that's really super fun. I agree with you that A+ content does not make a huge difference in conversions. If people are stressed out about it, I tell them the same thing. Like, just don't worry about, like, worry about the things that you can focus on and that are going to move the needle. A+ content is not necessarily going to move the needle a whole lot. You know, if you have to focus on anything, make sure that those 7 photos at the top of your listing are bombastic, and take, you know, the customer through that thought process, through that sales process. Nail that. Stop the scroll. That's what I call it. I'm like, hey guys, number 1 rule, they don't get to scroll down in your listing. They don't get to see all those suggested other products by Amazon. They stay right here and they add to cart. That's the rule. That's what we want, right? We want everything up here near buy box land to look amazing. So yeah, I agree with you. I have tested this. We've tested it with leaving the old, because you still get the old description field, even if you have A+ content. So you can put the text there and it's fine. The text inside of A+ content that you write inside of the content also indexes. So that's helpful. And then there's some keyword fields, like in some of the images.
Yeah.
And I think that those work, but I don't know that I think that it might be more for image searches from what I've tested, and not necessarily for like image searches external to Amazon, and not necessarily like for help in ranking your listings.
Well, it's the alt tag, I think. You're right. I think
Yeah.
the keywords in the alt tag and the HTML code.
And
So
so what we focus on, like if I have a client that comes to me and they already have A+ content, especially if we're not redesigning that A+ content, I focus on making sure that I'm fitting as many of my phrases, like my important keywords and phrases, into then the title, those 5 bullet points, and the back-end search terms. Ooh, before we go, we have to talk about back-end search terms, because I know that, you know, okay, so first of all, subject matter and target audience, which used to index, now got removed from all the listings because Amazon's having happy times lately and changing everything up. Huh?
For some listings, you still have the subject matter and the, you know.
I know. And you know what else I discovered is in the more details tab, sometimes they just move it over. So I've found in the more details tab that sometimes there's subject matter and stuff. So make sure you guys check out the more details tab. And then the other thing for the more details tab, what I do, my little hack is I search for the product on Amazon and I look at the filters on the left-hand side and I add, or I'll use the product classifier tool, and I'll search for that product and it gives you like all of the departments, like the categories and stuff. And I use those category words in my back end in my more details tab. And that really helps in indexing and in showing up under more like category filter searches. So that's like my more details. And then for search terms, for backend keywords, what I do is I look at my tool, I look at Listing Lightning by Seller SEO, I look at their whatever I didn't use in the listing, because it keeps track of what I used in the listing and it gives me suggestions. But if I have, what I do is I'll reverse search my top competitors, and then I'll pull all of their keywords, and then I go into a duplicate word removal tool and I paste all the keywords in there and I just remove all the duplicates. And then I put them in alphabetical order and I look at what I already used in the listing. And then that means that whatever keywords they're ranking for are going to be at least in the back end of my listing, if not in the front end. So that's how I do back end keywords. What about you? What do you do for back end keywords?
You know, the more we talk, the more I understand. Like we are very similar in the way we think. I do the same thing. I just go to the turns. I forgot the website name, Turnkite or something like that. You remove duplicates by order. So what I do, I analyze like 20 competitors, take all their organic rankings. I move aside the PPC that are ranked between 1 to 15, because those are the keywords that drive sales to their listing, and just put them like remove duplicates and then remove And then I just stay with like a list of keywords, and then I put it in the search term. One thing that is neglected is some other attributes like color. If you sell knives, they will put you like select blade edge. Some fields will be free text, and you can use this free text to get more rankings. So people don't really use it enough, but wherever you can fill keywords or any benefits or features of your product, just put it there. It's free. Why not? It's not gonna hurt. Sometimes you see listing and they started to put it at first above the bullets. You see style, size, you see all these metrics, which it's a big advantage because first of all, your listing looks different. When people open 5 listings and they see yours listing, I mean, it's like it's standing out, you know. Second, who knows like whether these keywords are ranked for or not, and you know it's free. Now I also started to use the list in Seller Central. They have this improved listing quality tool where it's very easy to see what you're missing and improve listing quality. I don't know whether it's new or not, but I saw it like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that, and
You
if
know,
you're having issues with your listing, it's underneath reports, I think. It's like reports, listing
inventory, improve
quality.
listing quality.
Yeah, and then you can download that. So sorry, say it again. Where is it located?
Inventory, improve listing quality.
Yes. And so if you're having issues with any suppressed listings too, you can download that report, fix whatever's in the blue, I think it is, and then re-upload it and it'll fix it. Oh, Mookie says, and Mookie, what's up with you, man? I haven't heard from you in forever. I'm calling you out right now. A+ content. Mookie says product matrix allows cross-selling your other products for free. Yes, I love some brands are doing that. That's so smart. I haven't played with that yet, but I want to do that. So thank you, Mookie, for reminding us. Yes, that's one thing. Now, what about flat files? Do you use flat files?
Yeah, sometimes I'm not a big fan of flat files, but yeah, you know, one trick that I use the flat file, sometimes a listing suppressed, or you can change something through the Seller Central interface, let's say the characters limit or something. One trick to do it is do it through a flat file and it will go through. So for example, let's say you have listing with 100 characters limitation, but you want more. Maybe I don't know if it's gray or black, but you know, they didn't like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just using your tools. So I'm putting 150, let's say, through the flat file, upload it, and it goes through. So that's when I use flat files. But other than that, I use like, just use the Amazon Seller Central, even like for variations, because usually I don't have, you know, private label sellers, like we don't have a lot of listings. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
you don't
really,
have like 800 listings to update
yeah,
or something. Some of the bigger brands that come from retail do come in and
yeah.
they need a flat file. But I agree with you. I only really use it for updating. So if I have a listing that's there already and I need to update the images or the bullet points or something, I don't like dealing with Amazon's like, wait, 15 minutes. Like if you use a flat file, it's just going to update. And you're not going to have to, like, especially if you want to update your title, oh my God, use a flat file like all day long, because you'll avoid the issues with seller support, going back and forth over nothing. You know, it's not worth it. So
files, one thing about it, it's not really related, but I suggest that you monitor the page where you upload the flat files. Why? It was very weird, but a friend of mine, she's very known in the Amazon space. I'm not gonna mention her name, but she had an issue of her listing going down just before I think Q4. And what she saw is on the upload flat file section, you have the history, right? So she see like a lot of uploads, but it wasn't her. So she started to investigate, and apparently, probably we can't really like prove that.
oh, I
But
know what it was.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
Chinese employees that have access, they basically uploaded flat file. You know, the IP was a Chinese IP. That it's the Amazon funny because Amazon provided the IP details when I opened the case because I had the same thing on my listing as well. In the Canadian marketplace, we see flat files uploads, but it's not us. So I'll tell them like I was freaking out. Who is doing it? Who is uploading that? And that was causing my listing to be suppressed for like 3 weeks.
Yes,
So be
and that's
careful.
so your competitors can actually they can list your product and they can because you can list any product on Amazon
For
unless
your account.
yep,
What this is something new. Maybe you can do it from your own account and change listings, but someone kind of got into my account and upload it. So
yep.
it must be someone have access to Amazon. It must be that.
Well, what you can do. So I used to be a reseller, right? I used to do wholesale where I was selling other brands' products. And anyone can list a product in their account and actually upload a flat file and it will still do it. But I think if you have vendor access, you might be able to upload to others' accounts, but it still shows up for the listing. Even if they do it from their account, it still shows up in your account because it's a flat file for that ASIN. So it still shows up. But yeah, that's exactly what can happen. And so that's how a lot of people are taking down competitors' listings is they're just putting like malicious stuff in the flat files that cause the listing to
Drug
get
related
flagged.
keywords they put there. Yeah, they put like drug related keywords,
It's
quite
insane. Yeah. So you guys definitely fill out all those fields that Tamara's talking about, like utilize those fields, make sure that and then the upload page that we're talking about is if you go to inventory, add products via upload, that's where you look at the upload page and you can see like, and then there's like 3 tabs there. One is like the download your templates, and then the other one is upload a file, and the third one is like monitor upload status. And so you want to go to that upload status page and look at the history and see what's been uploaded and check it out. Because if you're having issues with hijackers or whatever, and this when we say hijackers, we don't mean somebody selling your white label product on your on your listing. Like, okay, guys, you gotta do better if you're having those problems. But in terms of like someone honestly, like you have a legit private label product and somebody's getting you shut down, like that's serious hijacking. Or I've had clients where they had their listing taken over, all the images changed, everything, and they're like, what the heck? And people are buying it and they're getting mad because it's not the same product, and they're like, I didn't what how do I even get this back? So yeah, it's definitely Amazon has issues with that. But in terms of you as a private label defending your listing and making sure that you understand what's going on, definitely should, even if you're not really good with flat files, you should at least be aware of them and how to use them and where they are so that you can monitor those things. Because man, I'm very lucky. I consider myself very lucky that I've never had problems like that, but I don't think it's impossible at
don't
all.
talk, don't bring it.
No
I
curses.
also didn't have issues, but I don't want to talk about it to
I
bring it.
know it's terrible. Okay, let's end on a positive note. So we have given these folks. Mookie says Amazon just released a new tool to upload pictures. Okay, cool. And Shelly says I had people download flat files in Chinese, ask Seller Central, but they did not have a clue. And Christina says flat files are my nemesis. She's a copywriter too. So okay, so let's end this thing on a positive note. Let's both give, if you could give any like number one secret tip for your listing optimization that you use to really help you make more sales, something that that you would either contribute as your top tip or something that, no matter what, is something kind of one of your go-to methods. What do you think it would be?
Yeah, I would say you mentioned this before, but packaging. That's my secret, I feel. It's my secret to create first a premium look. Premium. That's why I never really compete on prices. I always, like in all the products I sell, I'm always the most expensive guy because I create this premium feeling through the boxing. And second reason why I use the boxing is to stand out. So it's a big part of also the product research, because if we go after products and we see that all the competitors on page number 1 use packaging, use boxes, I'm kind of know already that they know what they're doing, and I'm kind of staying away from this niche. So for me, it's a way to stand out to my packaging. and I write also keywords there. And it's not just packaging, you have to come with really amazing packaging. And what I like to do when I give specs to the guy or whoever is going to design the package for me is I'm really handing him all the details, all what he needs. So even if he is not like top designer, because I did the research and explain it in a good enough way, I can get from them a lot, like more than what they will do if I would just tell them this is the product, this is what I need. This is not really related, but just side note. And I go to 99 Designs and I look through other people that ordered boxes, and it gives you so much inspiration because usually 99 Designs, it's people designing packages for retails or more competitive niches that they really fight through the package on your attention. So usually it's they're doing a really good job with that. So you have to come up with a packaging that looks amazing. Recently, I see more and more people using it, and you see Chinese sellers doing it too. But actually, the way they design it, it's actually hurting because it looks cheap. So if you make sure that it's look awesome, look amazing, like something that you will look at and say, "Oh wow, it looks like premium." They really took the time to uh, design something unique and it's standing out, and that's my top tip for for listings. That's the most important thing in my opinion.
I love that tip. It's so good. I agree completely. Like we need to take it if we really want to build a brand and be taken seriously, we have to actually build a brand and be taken seriously. So that is such a great tip. I love it. My favorite tip for folks is, guys, don't get lost in your software. Take the time once a week to look at your listing on the page next to your competitors. Look at what you look like. Look at how things are going. Like placement is so, so important. It's important to the customer. Look at your product on mobile, search for it. Look at your product on desktop, search for it. See what it looks like. Click inside of your listing and scroll down and see what you're being compared with. See what other customers are buying after viewing your item. That's so, so important. Amazon doesn't do it in all categories, but in a lot of them, they do it. So that is just after you launch. Of course, your listing is your foundation. It's so, so, so important to everything else that you do. I have a client, he had a ton of, he had a lot of brand recognition outside of Amazon and brought his brand on Amazon. And he came to me and said, I'm going to fire my PPC team because they're just, I don't see my ads anywhere. I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting sales. And we took a look at his listings and they didn't have the right keywords in them. And I said, okay, don't fire your ads team yet. Let's take a look and let's optimize these listings. We optimized the listing because I looked at his campaigns and his campaigns were fine. His campaigns that had all the right keywords, but those keywords weren't very relevant in his listing because his listings were just kind of thrown together and not, because he was a big brand. So he didn't necessarily need, all of that. And so we took a look, we made his listing super relevant. I said, okay, let's visualize what page we want to be on. What page are we going to dominate? What page are we going after? And we made our listing super relevant for that. So immediately his ads were all over page 1. We didn't change the ads. We changed the listing. PPC is driven based on the relevancy in your listing, you guys. It's the number one thing. So you have to set up a solid foundation. You have to do your best to understand search engine optimization and how it works because it's going to give you a competitive edge. And then not only that, once you get found, you need to make sure that that you're communicating why customers should buy your product and communicating those benefits instead of just features. That's how you get a leg up of your competitors, connect with those customers. And that is how you get found and you convert. And then after you get found and you're converting, you need to revisit your listing every once in a while. And we do this about once a week, once every other week. And we just search for our products and we look at them in search. We search for them on Google too. We'll just do a search on Google for those keywords that we're ranking for on Amazon as well and see how we're showing up in search. You wouldn't believe how many times you'll find your products are listed on other websites and are, and you're like, whoa, I don't sell there. How did my product end up there, right? So just be aware, like be the customer for a minute and take a look at your listing. That's my number one tip and follow up for you guys, and keep improving, keep looking awesome. Tomer, you're amazing. Can you tell everybody? Yeah,
One
sorry,
more
go ahead.
thing. Like set up Google alerts for your brand name. So you will be surprised where your product or your brand is being mentioned outside. So Google alerts, for those that don't really know, you put a phrase, and every time Google index that exact word, you have control, of course, if it's phrase or exact. And every time they crawl a website and they find this word, they will send you, you can set up the settings too, they can send you an alert immediately. That way, if someone, I don't know, wrote a blog post on their website and they mentioned your product or your name, you can get notified, and it will create awareness of where your website and brand shows. So that's tip.
Why don't I do that?
It's like
I'm taking that golden nut.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do that right meow. Because I mean, I have like the hashtag alert set up, but I don't have Google Alert. So I'm gonna do that. That's like, why don't I do that? Duh. Okay. Well, I hope you guys got super value out of today. And Tomer, can you tell everybody, like, if they want to contact you, where they should find you?
So they can check out my YouTube channel where I talk about Amazon, about everything. It's called Sourcing Monster, so they can look it up.
Sourcing Monster. I love it. Okay. And this video will be found there as well as on the Amazing at Home channel. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Oh, and we're going to put it on Seller Roundtable too. Extra. It's totally extra worthy. So we'll throw it on Seller Roundtable as well. And thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thanks, Tomer, for hanging out with me.
First, thank you. And like I said before, we could continue like that for hours for sure.
I know. Okay. So what are we going to talk about next time? We're going to do this again. We should do PPC. Do you want to do PPC?
PPC, yeah, sure. Let's talk about PPC. PPC, it's a great topic, but I feel it's a lot like, it depends on, like you said, the listing, the photos. So there are no shortcuts. And I feel PPC, it's simple. You just have to do the work and be on top of things. But yeah, it's something I'm passionate about. I used to manage like a $500,000 a month budget previously. So I'm kind of like, I love PPC. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we can talk about stream optimizing, because people talk about PPC setup all the time. Maybe we can talk about optimizing and streamlining, because I think that is something that people don't always talk about. So maybe we could do something like that. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. I'm going to end the live session, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.